Hi. From a very young age, I had a distinct likings for particular categories of men, and these men I really considered as real men. From my school days, I was drawn like magnets to the true stories, to the explorers of South Pole and North Pole and the mountain areas. Whenever I got hold of a encyclopedia or a book of knowledge, I immediately went to the pages of adventures and explorations and about the fantastic stories they had. Later on, when not many years back, I got a book on exploration or on the explorers of both the poles. And these stories of these men who, without this today's geostationary satellites and other modern equipments, went to these poles for the first time. Their journey, their sacrifices, their hardship, their courage really inspired me. I was just spellbound reading about these men, these characters. I remember one particular story when a British team and they didn't succeed in going to the South Pole and they were returning. Their food was scarce and one of them got injured. And suddenly one morning, their his fellows found his mates found that he was missing. In the middle of the night, in that place very close to South Pole, he had disappeared. He has walked suicide, taken suicide in his own hand, walked deep inside that snowy terrain, just walked into his own death so that his mates won't get handicapped in progressing back to the home because of him, because he couldn't walk as quickly as them. It just stunned me. And then I came across this book. I went to Nepal and I was searching for a book for the expedition of Mount Annapurna. This was the first peak of 8,000 meters climbed by human beings. And their leader was the Frenchman Herzog, Maurice Herzog. I cannot give the picture of Maurice Herzog in this video because there is a stunning picture of him just half dead after coming back from Annapurna, and that picture's copyright belongs to New York Times and I cannot breach that copyright. So any of you who have become interested in listening to this vlog can go into the internet and find this picture. Actually, Maurice Herzog is one of my all favorite heroes. I had read the book. He had gone through a terrain which I have been. This terrain takes you to Muktinath in northern Nepal, in the Nepal-Tibet border. They had to go through that, and just to find the path to go to the top of Annapurna. Actually, they went to climb Dhaulagiri, but they had abandoned this because they thought that was impossible to climb. Later on, Dhaulagiri was climbed. So they concentrated on Annapurna. It took them about a month just to find out the way towards the top of Annapurna. And the bondage, the camaraderie, the sacrifices of the people who made this climb successful, it's amazing. Now, Herzog, such a man of courage, actually had many of his fingers of both feet and hand amputated at the end. And the treatment to save his hand and legs was so painful after he had succeeded in climbing Annapurna that he howled, he cried in pain. And that's what really stunned me. These men of this level of courage, this level of tenacity, this level of physical strength. They didn't shy away from crying when they had to go through immense pain. And there was a man who was the toughest of them, I think so. Later on, he had climbed Nilgiri in nearby, one of the nearby range of Annapurna. He used to come and embrace Herzog after each treatment session as a baby in his own hand. These men, full of compassion, full of courage, yet they also suffer pain, immense pain, and never hesitated to cry loud. Really, really stunned me. What is most important is that when he reached near the top, near the summit of Annapurna, in extreme condition, his fellow mates had told him not to go there and to come back to save him, but he and one of his friends just went on and on to the summit. At the end, while they were near the summit, they had almost a deep spiritual feeling. And even while some of their other mates also during this expedition had some sort of paranormal and supernatural feelings, they always felt that somebody was behind them climbing, somebody was behind them encouraging them to go on, or talking to them. But these two quotations, I will give it to you, of Maurice himself, which really stunned me. And I read the quotes from this book to you. He was up there at 8,000 meters and he said, "I felt as though I were plunging into something new and quite abnormal. I had the strangest and most vivid impressions, such as I had never before known in the mountains. There was something unnatural in the way I saw Lachenal and everything around us." Lachenal was the person who was accompanying him. "I smiled to myself at the paltriness of our efforts, for I could stand apart and watch myself making these efforts. But all sense of exertion was gone, as though there were no longer any gravity. The diaphanous landscape, this quintessence of purity, these were not the mountains I knew. They were the mountains of my dream." Herzog Maurice on the conquest of 8,000 meter peak Annapurna, 26,493 feet. As I said earlier, after this successful summiting, several of his fingers of hands and feet were amputated, and he could never go for any expedition. And what did he say? He said, "Annapurna, to which we had gone empty-handed, was a treasure on which we should live the rest of our days. With this realization, we turn the page. A new life begins." There are other Annapurnas in the lives of men. Wow, what a quotation. If you ever get hold of this book, please read it and you will know who the real men in this world are.